Today for Devotions with Daniella, we are reading snippets of Unamerican, my second memoir and video book that I have written. First book I wrote was Uncultured, about growing up in the Children of God religious cult, going into the cult of the U.S. Army. You can get this pinned here if you're watching it on YouTube or at the link in the bio. I wrote Un-American because I found out some life-changing information after I'd already written this book, and I realized I needed to tell my stories again, but this time looking at power and privilege and whiteness and otherness and what it means to be an American. And you can listen to the video book if you're watching this on YouTube, attached here, and if you're watching this on TikTok, it's up in the Matreon. Chapter 6, Beautiful, Guanajuato, Mexico, 2002. Who knew a person could twist so much rage into a balloon animal? I wonder if anyone can see how miserable I am behind my clown makeup, the cheerful bright designs around my eyes and on my cheeks, the white face paint turning me into a porcelain doll. The adults never did seem to pay any attention to how lifeless and dull my eyes always looked, hollowed out over my carefully perfect smile. A child waits patiently for the little red balloon I'm crafting into Elmo, which I'm told is a character on a TV show that's popular in America, and I guess in Mexico too, where we moved, yet again, just as I was starting to feel something close to happy in San Diego. I tell the child's mother that we're missionaries, that we're asking for at least a 10 peso donation, and that of course we accept extra tips for God's work. I'm supposed to give it all back to the commune, but they'll never know if I pocket an extra peso here and there. It's the least they can do after ruining my life over and over and over again. I don't even care about getting caught. What's the worst they can do that they haven't already done? The only thing left would be unaliving me, and maybe that would be a relief. Cervantino is a huge festival in Guanajuato, about 2 hours from where we live. Tourists come from all over the world to sightsee and party in the picturesque cobblestone streets, but I'm here to work, as usual. While everyone around us celebrates, we rack in thousands and thousands of pesos, which we then turn over to Uncle Jose. Some of it will go back into more makeup and balloons, or to buy gas so we can drive to an orphanage once a month, where we perform and take photos so we can prove our missionary work to the people on the streets and in the restaurants and the bars where we beg for coins every day. As soon as we got to Mexico, we lost all pretense of school, though we're supposed to fill out workbooks in case the authorities show up. I'm 14, by the way. I already completed my 8th grade workbooks last year, and according to the family, that's all the education I needed. For a while, I stayed at home and ran the kitchen like I did back in Brazil, cooking 3 meals a day for 20 people. I liked that much better than being out here selling a fake God. Now I always volunteer to panhandle on the streets with my sister and other teens. I used to be able to ignore his more mild molestations and uncomfortable touching, but after Uncle Jose raped me, I knew I never wanted to be caught home alone ever again. Maybe tonight I'll be able to forget all that for a little while. Family teens from all over Mexico will be here to participate in the festival, which we all know means street perform and make money. Like me, these teenagers grew up all over the world, and all we've ever known is the family. So even though I've never met many of them, we're already best friends, walking with our hands thrown around each other's waists and whispering sarcastic things about the grown-ups by the end of the night. It's easier for me here than it's ever been, now that I'm seen as one of the pretty blonde girls, and skilled at shaking my hips to boot. We all know how to put on a show for Jesus. We decide to walk down the main drag in a kind of moving performance, a sea of singing and dancing white teenagers, belting out popular songs in English to grab attention, and then in Spanish to show that we are of the people. I take my place in the front right corner, where I can attract maximum visibility with my blonde hair that falls nearly to my elbows, which I'd finally learned how to tame into ringlets rather than a ball of frizz, heavily made up to appear far older than 15. I grab my money from outstretched hands and replace it with a small tract that includes a salvation prayer. We girls know what else to expect from the hands when they get close enough to hand us money. While the boys strum away on their guitars, belting out praises to God, we are quietly groped on every inch of our bodies by a crowd full of hands, bodies crushing against ours, grabbing at our skirts and sometimes under them. We know this is part of the job. Every time we dutifully apply our makeup and put on the revealing crop tops we are instructed to wear, stuffing our bras and purposefully displaying our nubile bodies for ultimate effect, to best do the work of God. Sometimes I wonder if there is much difference between what we do out on these streets for money and what the aunties did back in the 70s when they'd been called hookers for Christ. Of course, our own boys grope us too, in the dark of that crowd, including the young uncles, the ones mom's age. That is much less creepy, or at least it's supposed to be, because they are with us. Later, at a commune in Guadalajara, I'm allowed to go to a performing arts program that has donated tuition. What the adults think is a way to get a sulking teen and annoying 7-year-old out of the house is actually another opportunity for me to be alone with my thoughts and out in the wider world. Everyone in this program is Mexican, but they are the rich and privileged Mexicans, many of them with skin almost as white as mine, though the blonde hair still makes me stand out. Not to mention my very old and unstylish used clothes. This is the closest I've ever been to being in a social setting with systemites, especially without any other adult supervision. I'm very nervous and I hardly know what to say. It's not that the Spanish is challenging. It's way easier than Portuguese. But I literally don't know how to talk like a normal person. When I get in the front of the room to act a part, to sing a song, onto the dance floor with the rest of the girls, I feel free. This is the first time in my life that I'm performing for nothing, for myself, for my own benefit, my own practice, for something that might resemble joy. The assignment for today was to pick a song to lip sync to in front of the group. When the teacher first gave it to us last week, I was terrified. What song would I sing? I barely knew any Systemite songs, and it would be way too weird to bring in a family song to sing, though certainly the uncles would expect me to, if they knew. The other kids already probably thought I was weird enough. I thought back through all the busking songs we did when we sang a few popular songs in English to get people's attention. I chose the song Beautiful by an American girl named Christina Aguilera, who I knew nothing about. I didn't even know what she looked like. Standing in front of the other students, I feel exposed, more than I ever do busking on the street corners. This is a different kind of performance. The instructor told us to bring our whole selves to it, and what terrifies me most is that I don't even know who that whole self is. I close my eyes before I begin, whisper, "Look at me," right on cue, like a prayer, and they do. Every day is so wonderful, I start, a placid smile on my face, letting Jesus' love shine through my eyes, or whatever nonsense the adults say to us when they want us to perform. And suddenly, it's hard to breathe. I sing and the words become reality. My throat constricts as it hits me. This song is about my life, every day pretending things are wonderful when I'm struggling to survive. Maybe the students see what I want them to see. An attractive, smart, happy missionary girl who lives in a nice big house in an important part of the city. Maybe they really are as lost and as doomed as I've been told they are. Maybe we are better, righter, the only ones who really understand God. When I fake belt out, "You are beautiful" in every single way, the words feel more true than anything I've been taught in the family. And somewhere in the song, I realize that maybe I believe my own performance, that somewhere in it there is truth and a place I can let go of the worst parts of myself. I look slowly from face to face, locking eyes with each student, looking for something that I think is beautiful about each of them. And to my surprise, I can. And as they stare back at me, I wonder what they are seeing behind my carefully made up face. And for the first time in my life, I feel like it might be something real that is beautiful too. I am watching myself from somewhere, suspended, this girl and her broken life that she is convinced is no longer worth living. And I see someone beautiful. I see a whole room full of other beautiful people. And I know that beauty has nothing to do with our twisted version of God, but everything to do with ourselves and who we choose to be. These Systemite kids are not evil. They are not other. And I realize I want to get to know them, all these people I grew up mocking and calling evil. It was always us versus them, and our group was always the right one. What if we weren't? What if we never have been? And this is when I decide I'm leaving the cult.